Hello and welcome to South Uko's TV. You've got me, Marlon, and you've got Marlon next to me as well. Look at his name.
namesake, you know what I'm saying?
Man wants to be me. So, it's that time of the week. It's Tuesday. And from his stint on We Are Tottenham TV, he is here with me now. Do you know what? I ain't gonna lie, I felt a bit jealous.
Why?
I was like, what's this boy doing, my boy?
Hey, no, that was your guy, bro. No, you should have jumped on, bro.
But no, all jokes aside, are you well, Ash? Are you well?
Oh yeah, I'm well as I can be, bro. So we're alive, man. We move as always. Well, how you doing?
No, I'm all right. I think we'll talk about it, but I think the Benton Core news again is just taking a lot out of the fan base at the moment. A lot.
Yeah, of course.
But we'll get into it. We will get into it. But as always, we have guests. Time to bring them out.
Bring the man them.
So first of all, you all know him very well. You know where he's from. I don't even have to express what channel he's from. Massive times. He works with Iggy, Stell, the American stat man who everybody loves to go up against. But he's the silent assassin on the channel. Let's welcome JP.
Hey, how's it going, fellas? You all right?
Long time ago.
I'm the calm one on that channel.
We know that. That's why we got you on this week.
Love that intro, man. Love that intro.
Of course.
Absolutely banging.
We're going to give you an intro. JP.
That was lovely.
JP, but first of all, forget Tottenham. Are you well?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm knackered. Had a nice little visit out of town today. Just not long got back, so it's another day in paradise.
Good. Now the next guy to come out, right? He's only fools in Tottenham, innit? That's all I ever know him for now. I don't know for none else, right? He's as cockney as they come. He speaks exactly his mind. And I remember the first time I did a stream with him on the Hotspur Hood, I was like, I like this guy. But he's got a lot to say. But let's give him a great intro. But welcome to the channel, Jacob.
That's a good intro, man. How's it going? You good, yeah?
We are good.
Literally describe me like my mum would.
I'm glad I could. So, obviously, 2-1 against Villa. Ash, where do we start? I felt like you didn't. Well, I'm going to throw this out to you, right? I heard some of the bits on We Are Tottenham TV the other day.
Yeah, go.
I felt like you were holding back.
How do you mean?
I felt like, what's his name? Barnaby, innit?
Barnaby, yeah.
He asked you a question, and I felt like you didn't want to go controversial with it. I can't remember what you said, and it was something to do. I think it was something to do with the players that are out there, right? And you didn't want to go. And he was kind of like, well, everyone's going to start blaming certain things on the other, and
I can tell you straight away. Look, you've got this blame culture at Spurs where we just scapegoat. I think every fan does it, to be fair. It's not just at Tottenham. But we just do this thing. If things don't go our way, then all of a sudden, that was a short introduction, isn't it? You've got it ready. I just opened my mouth and he's like, see ya.
He knows you're going to chat crap for 5 minutes. So he thought, you know what, I'll jump off.
Weren't that bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you say? There's an hour later now, right?
Yeah, no, it's cool. Literally, I just said, look, we do this thing where one player doesn't do well, and then all of a sudden, like, we just start, we start blaming these players. But I just didn't want it to be an individual thing, what we always do. I didn't want it to be like an Emerson Royale show. Oh, it's Emerson Royale. He's the reason why we lost. Or Brian Hill. He's the reason why we lost. Or, I'm trying to say, Son, he should be clinical. He's the reason why we lost. Like, it's a team effort. That's what I was trying to get at. It's a team effort. And I didn't want it to be like, oh, one player scapegoat. That was my thing. That was what I was getting at. Do you know what I'm saying?
Before you carry on, super chat from Matt Coppin.
Ooh.
Thank you very much. Says, big up Ash and the crew. Matt, I hope you are well.
Oh, bro.
And forget Ash. It's about Jacob, JP, about tonight, not about Ash. Carry on, Ash. Carry on, Ash.
Caught up with Matt after the game, actually. It's good.
Cool, man.
Good
Go on,
man.
Ash. Carry on.
No, but literally, that was my take home. Like, literally, that was a take home. Obviously, everyone was upset. Everyone's fresh. The rooms were fresh. And so, overall, I was feeling like I haven't seen a game like that in a long while. Like, compared to what happened with Wolves, he could have easily just said, you know what? I'm going to stay pragmatic. I'm going to stick with Højbjerg. I'm going to stick with Dyer. And I felt like the fans all were calling for Dyer to be dropped. Do you know what I'm saying? And he dropped him. Then everyone was like, Højbjerg's no good. He's stiff. He took Højbjerg out. And so it was like, looking at that lineup, we were like, right, is he actually a fan? Like, he's moving like a fan right now. The
It's
way
like he's like he's listening to us.
he goes, I'm like, bro, I couldn't believe it. I was so pumped and so G'd up. We looked so attacking in that lineup. And then guess what? It actually manifested on the pitch. And then like that energy just lifted the crowd. It just like lifted the players. It was just like a merry-go-round for me. So like I can't be mad at the manager because like what else can he do? What else? He said like sit down with Dyer, said like, right, you know what? Boom, you're not really part of my thing. I can't lie. You're not really part of my plans, respectfully, in a nice way. But who knows? I say this, then he starts against Man City. That would be hilarious.
Oh, bro, don't, man. Oh.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's like he was listening to the fans. I'm not saying he's trying to please us all, but it's almost like he's got our mindset. And he looked at what happened against Wolves, and he was like, "No, this can never happen again. This style of play, this style of football, come win, lose, or draw. This ain't what Ange Ball or whatever you want to say. This is not my philosophy. It's not my identity. It's not my culture." And a lot of the fans, that's what we wanted. We wanted the style of football we could all get behind it. We could all get behind. Do you know what I'm saying? Remember when we watched the preseason and Barcelona beat us, but we were like, you know what? Even though Barca beat us, I actually feel all right about it. Do you know what I mean? If this is going to be the first season where we build, or whatever you want to call it, the kind of what we're trying to understand the style of football and the identity and the philosophy and the culture. So, yeah, for me, I was pretty much happy, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
JP, I'll come to you next. How was it? How did you feel? How have you felt after it, and what's your perception? And what was the stadium like afterwards?
It seemed like everyone walked away reasonably, I wouldn't say happy, but all right in the style of football they played. Kind of similar to like probably what Ash was saying, right? In terms of, we know his hands are tied. Who else realistically has he got to play? But the fact that that was almost like a B team in a way, they played what we wanted, how we would like to see a Tottenham team play. I felt they ran around, they bossed that first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was, and literally after 2 minutes we should have been 2-0 up. And straight after that, and like, as much as I 100% agree with Ash in terms of looking at that lineup, you know, you kind of just went, whoa, wow. We had a show last week, and I think we all called it be the same team, Dyer, Højbjerg, kind of like would start. Don't know what's up with Gio. He's not really been picking him and stuff like that, but he was like, bang, no. And it's almost like he got hurt against Wolves, like Ange got hurt against Wolves, saying, that's really not me, and I don't really want to play like that. So whoever I've got, I'm going to get them out on that pitch, and I'm going to get them to do it the way I want them to do it. They're up to it. They're up to it. They're not up to it. We will soon find out. But I have literally nothing else. I've tried Dyer. Don't work. I brought him back because of necessity. It don't work. Let me try this other guy. here instead. My worry with Emerson there was, do you know what? That guy goes running around. He goes wandering everywhere at times. And it was just like, oh God, please just stay there, right? Just stay there. And up to a certain point, like he did what he needed to do, but we all know he's not good enough, right? Like, at the end of the day, we had what, 4 left backs? Or sorry, 4 wing backs or right backs, whatever it was. They were all backs, right? Instead of centre backs.
Airbacks.
Barebacks.
Before I
Hey,
get
that
to
is perfect. I'm doing a video called it's called Barebacks.
before I get to Matt's,
I'm remembering that, man. That is wicked.
before I get to Matt's super chat, Jacob, quickly wanted to bring you in. You've had obviously time to reflect on it as well.
Yeah.
Right. For you, how have you seen the game afterwards? Have you kind of gone with everybody else? It was all he had. That's what the best he could do in that situation.
I think the concerning thing with us is that take the Wolves game out of it. It's like we were playing well and winning games, but all of a sudden we've played well in 2 games and lost. And I think against Chelsea and against Aston Villa, what I noticed is that whether it was on purpose or not, it's like it's becoming a reoccurring theme that teams are going to turn up against Tottenham and think, right, even if their defence play well, you probably score 2 goals. And even if their attack play well, they're only going to score 1. So if your attack ain't doing what it's supposed to do and your defence ain't doing what it's supposed to do, you ain't going to win any games. It doesn't matter whether you're playing Sunday League or playing in the Premier League. If your defence, you know, like you look at Ben Davies, Emerson Royal, they didn't actually, when you look in the grand scheme of things, they didn't even look that bad, but their best is below average. So you're going to concede 2 goals. That's how it goes. You know, like that Ollie Watkins goal is a good goal, to be fair, but Ollie Watkins ain't going to try that against Man City. He ain't going to try that against Arsenal. He ain't going to try that against Liverpool. He ain't going to try that against Chelsea. But with Tottenham, it's like you've effectively got a left back and a right back playing centre half. They've never played with each other in that position unless we went down to 9 men. So, yeah, it's one of those. I think if Aston Villa battered us like we battered them and we lost 2-1, I could take that. But we battered them and lost 2-1.
Mm.
We literally battered Chelsea in periods with 9 men and lost 4-1. So my concern is that whoever we play, we could. I'm sitting there thinking we could play well and lose the game. So like now it's like you're thinking to yourself, who have we got next? Best team in Europe. Like, oh man, like honestly, like I'm glad it's Sunday because I'll probably go to church first. You know what I mean?
So Matt obviously sent a super chat and he goes, "We're in safe hands under Ange, top manager." Now, I'm going to raise a question to all of you, right? Because the thing that not concerned me more, but I think it's now proven a theory. Now, a lot of people said last year, right? And this is, I'm going to bring Conte into it. All Conte has to do is coach these players and they will be able to do the business for him. Now, apart from most of the players that finished that game on Sunday were here last year. Big Ange just coached them, but yet they still can't finish their dinner. Have we now finally realised that this squad is not good enough, and actually this is now going from the top down? That actually with Ange, we've got a top manager, right? We shouldn't be waiting for no opportunities now. We should be going out and getting this man the players that he needs to play his football, and not waiting around to get rid of Deadwood like Dyer, Davis, Emerson Royale, in the sense of, you know, a lot of people don't want him here. Højbjerg as well can't play the system. Anyone who can't play the system, don't wait. Go and get them now, because you've left us short, right? A lot of us all said, right, we didn't expect it all to come at once. If no Romero, no Van der Ven, we're stuck, right? But for us to lose Maddison as well at the same time, are we now in a case of you can't coach these players? You've now got to try and go and get a fully fit squad to kind of come in. Ash, I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, I mean, touche, man. I think you said it best, to be fair, because there's no other way. If you don't back this manager now, the fans are going to be up in arms, first of all. Let's not get it twisted. I think everyone's...
So if you say, but do you think we'll be up in arms? Because I'm going to get Arch JP in a second, actually, but I'm going to put this out there because we've allowed this for this long, and we've never ever been up in arms. We've gone through transfer windows, we've gone through this, but yet we're still in the same situation, and just kind of taking the pressure off the top in the first 10 games. But will we do anything about it as Spurs fans?
Oh, history dictates we won't. However, we did under that Conte regime and under Stellini. I think it was Stellini when the balloons came out. When it was the Levy out balloons, and media picked up on that, and so we don't protest in the way like your Uniteds do, or maybe Arsenal's might do. We protest in our own way. So we'll make our noise heard, and fans will be disgruntled if, for example, I don't know, we just get one centre back and that's it. Or even I don't know, if we don't get any signings, I think that would be boy. I think if we don't pay anyone, I think that then you'll see something different. I don't think people would stand for that. So I do think we will make some type of business, but everyone's got their different levels. I think everyone's got their different levels. For us to band together, I think it would have to be that whole debate has to be spoken about again with that whole Kane money. Has that been spent? I think that, personally, you know what I mean? I thought it was done and dusted.
That's what financed the window already that we had.
Yeah, because they said that obviously they already spent the money on Kulu, who's a new signing. So they spent money on that. Finish off paying the Porro finances and the actual purchase of him. So that's money as well. And then you add the Brennan Johnson with the Vicario and the Van der Ven on top of that, and the Madison. You're looking at over 150 mil there. So it's like Kane was only 100. And I don't feel like, because our club, our team's so depleted right now, I feel like we do business where it's one out, one in. And we're not going to be able to bring in anyone because Højbjerg's not going to leave now because we've just lost Bentancur. Do you know what I'm saying? The amount of injuries we have, we're still monitoring. We don't know how serious that is. I thought it was a knee injury. Turns out it's a hamstring. So it's peak right now, because if we can't get Dyer, looks like he wants to just hang on and get paid. Lloris ain't going nowhere either.
He's just sitting there picking up bucks, isn't he?
Lloris will be playing in a minute. Don't worry. It's the last
Vicario's going to be like that next week, man.
I'm over trying to take it down this low vibration energy state. I'm over trying to take it down this side. I know we just lost Benny. It's emotional right now. It's emotional.
We'll get to that in a minute because I do have no, actually that's a very good question. I'm gonna go to JP next, right? So Bentancur's out now, right? What's his name? Sarr and Basuma obviously go to African nations in January, right? It's possibly they could be missing 1 or 2 games, right? Not sure yet. FA Cup, they're definitely going to miss the FA Cup game. Son's going to be missing as well. Madison and Van der Ven, we have no idea if they're going to be back even for the FA Cup, right? Are Spurs going to be proactive, right? In the sense of there's going to have to be some sort of negotiations going in now to give Ange what he needs.
You would like to think so, right? And just really answering your previous question really quickly, I don't think the fans will do shit. Purely because it would need us to get relegated or something like that before they buy any of it and try and make a stand and be angry or whatever. They literally won't. They'll
the question.
They just take whatever crap that comes out.
This is the question now, because Ange has shown, right, and this was a big thing about Sunday, and this is why I brought it up. Ange has shown what he can do with the awful players that we all said were awful. Let's be honest, right? I'll give you the stats because I do have them, right? 62% possession against the 38, 18 shots to the 15 that Aston Villa had, right? 8 on target for us, 5 for them, obviously 9 and 8 off. We had 1 blocked, 90% passing accuracy, 4 clear-cut chances, 9 corners, but we're terrible at corners no matter who we sign. As soon as they come to Spurs, they just forget how to cross.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that bloody coach we had.
5 offsides, 3 VAR calls for those offsides, right, for Sonny, right? Which I'm going to ask Ash a question afterwards about that. Aerial duels were 50-50, considering we conceded a free kick. 11 fouls committed. Vicario made three saves. No yellow cards as well.
Marlon, where were we after Conte came in and took us to Champions League? We've got those crap players. Look what this manager can do. We're now got top 4. We've done Arsenal. We're in the Champions League. This is the time to kick on, right? What do? Nothing. Did the fans moan about it? No.
To be fair, we all said we all did go and say we won the transfer window that year, and we obviously did.
I just remember that, man. I was just like, oh gosh. I remember when we signed Richarlison, everyone was getting gassed, and I was just like, I don't understand how you think that's ideal.
And Everton have the cheek to say we robbed them.
Exactly. It's worth about 40 quid, man.
What? They want an extra 20 million. They need to give us 20 million back. Yes, it is a time for them to invest now. And I think the other thing, Marlon, is the fact that we saw last season, his wife had to put her hand on his knee and say, "Don't worry, Daniel. Don't worry. Don't worry. It'll all be better soon." Does he want that again? Or does he just go, doesn't matter. I'm gonna have another hotel soon. The F1's opening up soon. Did you get your email? Which like showed you how jazzy the F1 is. That's opening up soon. So I would like to see the fruits, mate. I would like to see the fruits. I don't know if he'll change. He needs to change. Whether he needs to do it as soon as possible, obviously he does. Now that the fact that we do have these director of football, there does seem to be a director for the under, like the under 21s, under 23s, etc. in there. They're talking about a philosophy now for the youth system, and there being a route into the first team. We're all going to play the same way now. So certain things have been laid down. I don't know if it's too soon that these guys have just come in for them to honestly hit the ground running, or they need to earn their money now straight away, right? They're in there. They need to make an impression. We've been there 2 months, whatever it is. We've spoken to Ange. Hopefully we understand exactly what he wants, exactly what he needs, and we need to go out and find those players as quickly as possible. Whether that's enough time or not, I don't know. And Ange has already said, right? Look, I want people in early. I don't want to be waiting until the last day, which is total different culture to that man upstairs.
Jacob, get you to answer that question. Like, obviously, this is all just by the way, just so people know, we're still answering this question of we're in safe hands under Ange, top manager. So for you,
he got his $4.99's worth, didn't he?
Yeah. Of course. If you're gonna donate, you're gonna have to get your full. We'll make sure. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Love you, man.
Jacob, I'll leave it with you as well. For Ange to be a top manager at Spurs, if he could do that with crap players, what can he do with an actual squad that he can work with?
This is it, man. It's like no one in their right mind thought that we would be in a position that we're even in now, even though we've had a little blip, and some of the players be introduced and do well. Like not many players, unless you know your football properly, knew about Adoji. Pedro Porro under Conte was terrible. Romero, we all thought was a liability. Vicario, no one knew about. I just thought this was going to be a mess. But we're saying that about Ange, but how many managers? Like I'll go as far back as Martin Jol. Martin Jol was the top manager, and it was like, right, if Martin Jol's backed, boom. Did he get backed? No. Then it was like Harry Redknapp. At one point we were second in the league, and we're like, if he gets backed, cool. He's talking to Eden Hazard, Aguero, Forlan. Who did we get? Louis Zaha. Do you know what I mean? Ryan Nelson. And then it gets to the point, it's like, I forget Harry Redknapp, Pochettino. Pochettino takes us to the Champions League final. And he's still like just getting told, yeah, you can have Ndombele if you want. I'm just going to spend that money. We get Conte. Everybody knows Conte, Mourinho, they need these big players. But then when Conte's saying I need a fullback, Daniel Levy just wakes up in the morning and thinks, yeah, I'll just get Jed Spence and just tell Conte at dinner time, that's who I just bought. It's all the thing is, there's no point in us having coaches or directors of football because Daniel Levy's trying to be all of that. So do you know what I mean? It's like I look at Ange and think if he keeps doing what he's doing and we don't back him, he'll just go to another club and smash it. He'll just smash. You know what I mean? You're looking at, like, for instance, like Man United, even though everyone talks like they're in the mud, if they somehow got rid of Ten Hag and
took Ange,
they're killing it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you look at
even after
Chelsea. Imagine Chelsea taking on right now.
Do you know what? Ange could probably, for me right now, and I do agree with you. I think if he went into Arsenal, if he went into Man United, or even Everton, I think he could change them round completely, right? And actually get even Everton fighting. That is how he's coaching the methods are that good. It's just that you do need a team, a squad, as he had at Celtic, to get him over the line. Exactly. But let's get back into the game. So there was a big moment, a massive moment in the game that literally just turned it on its head, because if we're all being honest, we were quite happy with the first 10, 15 minutes. It was just all us. But then this happened. Ash, talk me through this moment. Now, before I even let you talk about this moment, very similar to this.
Yeah, it's just painful for all of us to see, because you know what, people were like, don't rush him back because we need him for the AFCON, we need him for Jan. So when those, but at the same time, we were still kind of excited to see him, like give him some minutes, and he was knocking down the manager's door as well. He was saying to Ange, I'm ready, I've been ready, let me play. Obviously, he went to Uruguay. He played a couple friendlies, and South Americans, they're no slouches when it comes to tackling. So, but then, you just got this guy who's just reckless. Like, he's just, some would be cynical and say, like, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's done it on purpose. He's done a job. And it's not the first time. Some people say lightning doesn't strike twice, but unfortunately for us, it does. And it's horrible. I remember that challenge on Doherty. Doherty was on fire that season. For a fullback, I remember there was a period where people were against him thinking he's flopped. And then he was like our best outlet, if that makes sense. I remember against Leeds, he was tearing it up. There was other games I remember he contributed a lot to our attacking play. He was playing like a wing back, doing really well. And then, the Aston Villa game happens, and then he just never comes back the same. And this happens, and you're like, oh, why? Of all people, why him? And then he tried to play on. That's what smacks it. He actually tried to run on, and then he just went back down. He said, nah, this doesn't feel right. This is sore. And a lot of fans were hopeful when he kind of hobbled out, the stadium, and he kind of not hobbled out the stadium, but he kind of walked it off. He didn't go on the stretcher. He actually carried on walking. We've seen that with Maddison. Maddison also walked out. Look where he is now. Do you know what I mean? So ankle injury on the other foot. It's like bad knee, bad ankle. They're like disguised stability. The positive thing is, like, because he had 9 months out, he's mentally going to be really strong, and he's going to be ready for it. And he's gonna put that work in. He's got that South American blood. He's gonna train extra hard. He saw how hard he did train to get back, and hopefully he's gonna have that same type of mentality. He's just gonna see this as another small setback, and he's gonna try to build himself back. But who knows how he comes back? To be fair, like I'll be real. Like the knee and the ankle, it's a balance thing. I'm like, oh, this is just Spurs luck, right? Just had to happen to us. It had to happen to us.
JP,
everything happens to us, man. It's like armpits get done as penalties and given away in finals, and then rules change, and everything happens after us.
So JP, like Bentancur, like obviously it was a massive change. It was a massive change dynamic in the game on Sunday. I nearly said Saturday there, but it was Evans. It was so you could see it. Like we saw the lineup. You saw the lineup, and you could blatantly see the lineup only worked because of this man here. it only worked. It was the only way it was going to work, because as soon as you put Højbjerg in that situation,
He's not the same type of person, not
No.
the same type of player, not the same technically minded,
Yeah.
technically gifted, anything like that. It was literally that first 25 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, that whole middle of the pitch, it was Bentancur's pitch. Like no one was really doing anything in there. He was bossing that midfield, absolutely single-handedly, spraying balls, laying people in, playing little single 1-2s, pivoting with the ball at his feet, everything like that. And almost once that guy hit him, it was like you literally felt the whole stadium just go. Like it was shit. It's not him, is it? Oh shit, it is Bentancur. Oh no. And then he got up and it was like, all right, well maybe, you know. But then just like he literally didn't run. He like hobbled around a couple of minutes and then kind of just went down again. And it was like, oh fucking hell, here we go, you know. It is literally, and even after that, I felt that it affected the team quite a bit, because it almost like they were all also on a pitch going, oh crap, we've lost Bentancur. Like, now what? And then Højbjerg comes in and you go, well, he's not going to do that job. We know he's not going to do that job. We don't have anyone to do that. We knew what he was like before he went out injured and how quality he was. And he was literally our player of the season for those few little months he was before he went off on his long injury. Everyone was literally waiting for him to come back, knowing what he possesses, what he does for us, how glad he is to have the ball in tight spaces, wriggles out, moves it. And I mean, for me, it was like geez, I really hope that he's going to be all right. And I hear what you're saying, Ash, about the fact that he's been out and hopefully he should have the mindset of, all right, I can get back together, or I can get it back together. But it's almost also like you go, he's been through all of that hard work, and then this idiot comes and does this to him. He went for him. He was, because he was running that midfield, he wanted to go in hard on him and just like let him know he was there and look, you need to stop in this midfield. And he obviously caught him too badly, but it's just, he definitely did it on purpose, is my view, 100%.
Jacob, Bentancur, that middle of the park. When it happened, how was you? Did you get deflated like everybody else? And was you kind of like, how's the system going to work without him now?
Yeah, it's not more. It's more about like, you know who's coming on, isn't it? Because I was thinking, is it going to be Højbjerg or Skip? I don't know who's coming on, but it's not going to do what the math ain't mathing, isn't it? You
levels, isn't it? Levels.
Yeah, you're thinking to yourself like, oh man, like, and he was bossing it. Do you know what I mean? But it's one of the ones, you know, I think with the Matty Cash tackle, don't get twisted. It's not a nice challenge, but we see them in the Premier League week in, week out when players are frustrated, and 9 times out of 10, the players just get up and walk off. But then it's unfortunate for Bentancur that he's come off injured like that. You know, there's a lot of Tottenham fans that I follow on Twitter and ones that I speak to, and they're all going on about like Matty Cash, this. But I'm like, but when Romero tackled Enzo Fernandez in that Chelsea game, everyone was going on about he won the ball. But I'm telling you now, if someone said to me, which tackle do I prefer on me? Matty Cash. All day. Like, trust me, that Matty Cash one, I've done that enough times when I'm playing football. It gets to the point where you're like, come on, boys, let's get stuck in. 10 minutes in, everyone's being silly. So you're like, all right, cool, I'm just going to have to set the tone. And then you do it, you give away a foul, and you're like, come on, man. And then it kind of sets the tone. So I think with Matty Cash, he weren't needed, but if he did that on, say, Højbjerg would have just got up and carried on and probably got him back in the game. But Bentancur, you know, everybody knows with an ACL, it's like it unbalances your body. So it gets to the point where when he takes that tackle, something else is going to happen to the other side of his body. But there's no need for the death threats and that. It's football, isn't it? Like, everybody's talking about how soft the game's going, and then when Matty Cash does that, it's like it's too tough.
Good point.
Good point. Very good point.
It's one of those, it's not nice, and you know, Bentancur was killing it, and I was, you know, with the AFCON and stuff. But it's Tottenham. If Bentancur was playing for Arsenal, Man City, or Chelsea, he'd probably have 3-4 games, and then all of a sudden he's in the running for the Player of the Year. But then with Tottenham, it's like Bentancur gets injured. Like I was saying on my previous stream, you know full well that Marlon and Senegal are going to get to the African Cup of Nations. Just 89 minutes, Sarr and Basuma are going to go into a 50-50 with each other and both get injured. That's
So-
how it's gonna go. It's Tottenham, innit?
So on this question here, do you think there should be any punishment made after the format cash, or do you think the booking was?
Yeah, it's
As much as
a
it could be.
booking, man. Like it's just one of those, man. Like how many? If you're gonna do that, man, then Romero should have gone for about 10 games. You know what I mean? Like, that tackle was horrible. You know, you're thinking like, I remember watching that game, thinking like, that's like your brother. Like you won the world. Like anybody I win the World Cup with, like I've won trophies like at such a low level, but I still chat to people, and we won the trophy 10 years ago. So it's like you won the World Cup with this guy, and you literally went to snap his leg like he tried to like chat to your sister. It's mad.
I honestly, I will say, Jacob, I don't think he knew it was him. He just has this. He just has this thing about ball. I see ball, I'm gonna win ball.
Yeah, but he looked like I don't know, man.
shit.
He looked like he was trying to stab someone with his foot, man. I don't know. He's a good defender, man, but he's just a liability, man. Like I can't deal with him because it's like if we play.
Do you know who he
Go.
reminds me of? He reminds me of Graham Roberts. That type of defender who just goes in and takes everything out.
Yeah, I don't mind that because that's the way I play football. But I generally don't go to injure anybody. Like I'm looking at the ball and that's it. Like I won't go over the top of the ball. Like if I've injured somebody, I've got the ball and it's like that impactful challenge has resulted in you maybe having a dead leg or something. Whereas Romero, you've seen it enough times where it's like you definitely trying to break his leg, man.
So, Ash, before you bring up the tactical board, so, and I'm just gonna throw this question out to you as well.
Yeah, go.
So obviously Ange's a top manager, but do you think he sometimes doesn't have a plan B? And the reason why I say that is, Villa got back into the game.
Yeah.
But Emery makes a tweak at half time. Yeah, he saw his Højbjerg come on. He makes a tweak. He takes off he took off Matty Cash because he thought he was going to get booked. But he brings on Bailey for Diaby because Diaby was just getting nothing. Makes this slight tweak. It suddenly becomes more favourable for Villa. But Ange doesn't react to it. Why not?
Well, he kind of does. That's might as well go into the tactics video because
yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
I might as well. Yeah. All right. So basically, if I can pause it, we started off as everyone knows 4-3-3. Hopefully, you can see that. But on the ball, it's more of a 2-3-5 from what I can see. And at the start of the game, everyone noticed a lot of our players were running into that space, into that half line, because we knew that Villa were going to play that high line. So we knew the space was in behind there. And then from there, you can see this as an example, high line versus high line. We've got Davies on the ball alongside Royale. And then you can see Villa's back four pushed high up. And all of our players, we've got about 5 players in this shot, but I'm pretty sure at one point we've even had 6 players, you know, on that kind of half turn, ready to run, almost like American football. That's what it looks like. And at one point, I was actually enjoying a game of football, just as not even just a Spurs fan, just as a football fan. I just thought this game was end to end, blockbuster Hollywood. Like, I know obviously we came out, you know, at the end of it, the worst out of the two, but I just thought overall it was
as a neutral sitting on their sofa watching that game, they would have probably loved it, wouldn't
they?
they?
Would have loved it. Sunday afternoon, like you can't get better. But I just showed a small clip here. It was just Porro playing in a double pivot, and we kind of dominated the half spaces, which is like not the wide space, just in between where that box is, the edge of the box. And we made small little triangles, so it made us hard to pick up. I think that's the reason why Villa couldn't really deal with us, and Emery didn't know what to do. So here's that example where Porro's on the ball. He plays that ball over the top into Udogie, which Udogie should have done a lot better with. But I'll just show this little tactic board where, of course, we do start off on a high line with the 5 at top, but Udogie and Kulu, they drop in. And the reason they drop in is to pull away from the markers. So Udogie in that half space is pinning an Aston Villa player. And then you can see on the right-hand side, you can see Kulu there as well. Or sorry, it was that Porro. I remember Porro there pulling next to him. And so that opens up gaps for the Brian Hill and Johnson on the far right, if you can see on the picture. So that was a deliberate tactic. And then when we did that as well, what that did was it created I call it a box midfield, which is 5 people in that. Normally it's 4. We did it with 5, and that creates a numerical advantage. And that's why we had so much control in that midfield at the start. I don't know if you can see that. So we've got 3 players at the base, which was Bentancur, GLC, and then you have Porro in that midfield 3, and then ahead of them in the half space, just above them, was Udogie and Kulusevski. But it didn't always stay like this. We did change, we did switch around, and as you can see, Lo Celso is about to swap over with Udogie at times, so it never stayed constant. Also, Porro would be in this position. His body orientation is making midfielders look at him, so they're thinking, now the ball's going to come in here, so let's occupy this guy, let's have a look at him. Do you know what I mean? But what that does, it opens up a space for Kulu on that right-hand side to receive a pass. And then when we got that pass into Kulu, he could do a forward pass. And it always looked like we were doing counter-attacks for some reason. But that's the reason why, because the way we were progressing out from that first phase, that's what brought us so much space and time. Then I mentioned here, double pivot was so good because you couldn't really tell at times who was the 6 and who was the 8, because Bentancur was creating like crazy, but then so was Lo Celso. When Bentancur went forward, Lo Celso would drop in, and then vice versa. So there's a clip where I've got Lo Celso creating in the middle and Bentancur slightly ahead on the right-hand side, and he's looking for Brian Hill or he's looking for Udogie. Do you know what I mean? And he's literally just spraying balls left, right. And then vice versa, you've got Bentancur doing that super ball that he did for Porro, which I think he should have shot first time, but he tries to square it to Son, and I think he should have gone for a shot. And again, I'm just showing this that actual versatility between the two. Aston Villa didn't know what to do. You can see the field tilt that we were dominating a lot on that left hand side, so that actually shows how much Gio did create, but obviously Bentancur went off, so that was obviously affected by that. But even Kulu just dropping into those holes, sometimes he acted like I felt like a false 9 as well as an 8. But the heat map shows that he was clearly on the right hand side quite a bit, did drift in the middle, and linked up with Brian Hill at times, and those two made a good partnership. And just interchanging between the front players, Johnson and Kulu, and Udogie and Brian Hill, and even Lo Celso. Lo Celso interchanged a little bit as well. But again, it was Porro playing that kind of playmaker. One was like an inverted playmaker, and one was more like an inverted attacking 8. And so Udogie kind of took that role. Again, he's saying Lo Celso's creativity. Kulu has having fun. He was like, oh, I'm back to my old Kulu self. There's a little flick he did into Brian Hill. Brian Hill should have really opened his body up and hit it bottom corner, I felt. It's the one where he shot it and the keeper saved it. I think if he drills it across, but again, he hasn't had much game time. Kulusevski had a one-on-one there. I think he could do better. Keeper does well to kind of smother it, blocks that chance. And this is a little of a dribble he did during the game. Hill, I thought in that position, Lo Celso constantly found him. I think there was only one real ball that Hill actually put it on a sixpence for Son, who should have done a lot better. But I think time and time again, when Hill got in this area, he's passing it square, but instead of cutting back, which Ange likes players to take maybe an extra touch, get to that byline, and then cut it back, because that's what Maddison was doing, and that's when Son would finish it. Or you see Kulusevski arrive in that space, or you see Brennan Johnson score that goal like he did against Wolves. But because Brian Hill's not used to having that game time, in the real life situation, he's probably doing it in training, but in the real life situation, he's obviously forgotten. Because time and time again, he kept getting that position and he kept hitting that square ball. That was the one time he did find that cross. Now we need to get into, Johnson and Kulu. They switched over wings, but let's get into that tactic. So Aston Villa started off in a 4-4-2, and you've already mentioned it, Marlon, how you had you had Watkins and you had Diaby up top, and the other 4 were kind of behind them in a 4-4-2 press. But as I said before, we were just playing through them like they weren't even there. So Emery tweaked it. And now when Emery brought on when he brought on Tielemans and he brought on Bailey, Bailey gave them a lot more width. So first of all, given that making the pitch wider gave you Doggy something else to think about, and he had to push back into his shape and had to act more like a fullback, which gave Aston Villa a lot more control because they had a lot more spaces in that in the midfield. Because with Tielemans was able to literally, instead of being a striker, he was able to drop into that kind of midfield role where there was three of them, and they could create a box, or midfield four, sorry, in front of Lo Celso and Højbjerg, and even Porro at times. So that's how Villa kind of gained control. So Tielemans wasn't normally like your typical striker compared to what Diaby is. Tielemans is a man that can play like a midfielder, and he can play in between the lines a lot more. And I think that's how they gained a lot more control. So here's the goal. The goal here is where Kamara plays a first-time pass into Watkins. Watkins lays it off into Tielemans, and Tielemans knows where the spaces are and knows where to attack it, drops in that kind of half space, and then does a 1-2 with Tielemans. And now I'm just going to bring up the screenshot because there's the pass where Kamara passes it into Watkins. Watkins does well to peel off Ben Davies. Davies doesn't know whether to stay or to go with him. So he's kind of, he pinned him. Watkins did pin him, and then he peeled off them. He didn't know what to do. He passes it into Tielemans. Tielemans is in that half space in between the defender and the midfielder. And that's when that signals Watkins to kind of run into that space, and he's able to come in between the two defenders. And then the thing what I like about Watkins' finish, he takes it really early. And because he takes it early, I don't think Vicario is able to react to it as fast as possible. And so that tactical tweak, I think that worked for Emery. I think that's how they gained possession, especially when we started to tire a little bit. But I think the main reason they took advantage of us is because we lost a bit of control in that midfield and we did tire a bit. And we tried to address that by bringing Skip back on. So we tried to bring Skip on. However, Skip's just not it. Literally, Skip's not it. And yeah, to answer your question, I do believe that at times, and like, look, this is all hypothetical, because if Kulu scores, right, and he doesn't hit the post, because he should score that goal, in my opinion.
Yep.
Porro has a good chance. He could easily score. Do you know what I'm saying? Son's got to time those runs better. You know what I'm saying? But credit to Aston Villa, because Aston Villa, I think they've got the highest amount of offsides against clubs in Europe, not just in the Premier League. I think they got something ridiculous, like over 200 or something ridiculous. In the league, Premier League this season, I think they've got over 12. But their tactic actually worked against Tottenham. I remember last season even where Son kept getting offside, him and Richarlison at Villa Park. It kept happening, and Mings was in defense. So it's not the first time it's happened. But I would like a little bit more control in midfield at times, where I know we were chasing the game because it was 2-1 at the 60th minute. So I can get why the boys were trying to push it forward, trying to, attack. But sometimes slow it down a bit, maybe 3 or 4 passes, and then attack, as opposed to bang, bang, bang. Because it felt like we were moving 100 miles per hour, when at times actually we needed to slow it down, get a composure, get control of the midfield, and then try to, get an attack rather than forcing it. Because I think that's how we lost that kind of battle midfield. So the answer to your question for Ange, I think he can tweak things here and there depending on the game state.
JP, you've seen Ash go through a long-winded tactics board, but I wanted to ask you about. So you obviously saw the way it was all set up. Lo Celso. I'm going to give you Lo Celso, and Jacob, I'm going to give you. Who did I want to give you? Oh, Kulusevski. So I'm going to ask you about Kulusevski next and the way he played in the middle. But JP, I want you to answer the Lo Celso question. It was his first start. How did he get on for you? And was he played in the right position considering we all thought he was more of a number 10?
I mean, I would have probably preferred to see him as in that number 10, but I think he brought energy. He did hook up with Hill quite well, and the two of them seemed to He's really good at those little kind of 1-2s, isn't he? Like a quick pass, quick 1-2, and he sees space. Like technically, I think he's a really good player, right? It's just whether I don't know if he's not really been given a chance for us. He's been injured a hell of a lot. He seems to go away, come back from international duty, and then he's injured again, and takes him a little while to get back up to speed. But it was literally, I think I would have expected to see him at Wolves. And having not seen him at Wolves, I kind of thought his days were numbered, and he'd get another, 10 minutes just to see a game out, kind of like from now till January. But the fact that he put him in there, and I thought he held himself quite well. It was a reasonably good shot. All right, it was deflected, kind of like that actually went in. But I thought a lot of his possession, a lot of his passing, for that being the first game that he's just come in straight away, he's a gifted player, and kind of like you give gifted players time, kind of like they'll be able to show themselves. And I think he did that in little bursts. Given more of a run in, I don't see why he can't be that person who looks at that Maddison spot while he's away.
A question for the audience as well. What did you think of Lo Celso at the weekend? Do you think he was better in that number 8 role, or do you think he'll be better off in that number 10 role long term? Jacob, speaking of the number 10 role, there was another change, which some people have been calling for. Some people were calling for him to be dropped completely, but actually, we all wanted to see what he's played in this role before at Juventus. But how do you think Kulu got on? Do you think he was better there in the middle, or do you think he's more suited to be playing out on the right?
Yeah, I think I was shocked, to be honest, that he played so well, because even though it's pretty much obvious that that's a natural position for him, because all he does is want to cut in inside from the right wing, giving him a free role and telling him you can either go to the right wing, you can basically go in and around them final third positions. It worked, man. You know what I mean? It's like the only thing, like, I don't want to criticize him, but it's one of the ones he needs to improve on. Is just the numbers, because when he first come to Tottenham, I remember that season everyone was talking about him better than Saka, and it was facts. Like he had that half season, and it was like he was better than Saka in my eyes. But then he's just had a fall off and allowed Saka to just keep that consistency, and that's Kulusevski's problem. But it's fine margins, because he had a couple of chances in that game. There's a couple of other games where he's had his left back on toast, and then Son or Brennan Johnson or whoever hasn't finished off the chance. But yeah, I want to see him in there more, because with Maddison not being there, it's good to say at least if he can play like that in those positions, and then if he's not cutting the mustard, you put Lo Celso in there, then at least you get a couple of options to cover that Maddison position. I mean, we've got every position he's covering in my eyes, because we just haven't got adequate cover. Dozier gets dropped. We've got Emerson Royal covering every single position. And I think to myself, like, I like the guy. I admire that he can come out of adversity, but he's just not it, is he? It's the same with what Ash said about Ollie Skip. I like Ollie Skip. He digs in. He's Tottenham through and through, but he's just not it. Højbjerg works hard, warrior mentality. You can't pass, bruv. You know what I mean? It's just like sometimes it depends. Like for me, the problem with Tottenham over the years is like I don't know what the club is aiming for, because I know what I want. You guys know what you want, and I like to think it's all the same. But then Daniel Levy doesn't make it clear. The only thing he makes it clear is he wants to make money.
True. So let's talk about City really quick.
Just one really quick thing. If Kulu had pace, he could be lethal, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
if he had pace, like
he wouldn't be a Spurs player if he had pace.
He looks slow, but he's actually quicker than you think. I think
he
looks really slow, but somehow he gets there.
Yeah.
If he's deceptively quick, but I think if he was quicker, I don't think he'd be a Spurs player.
he-
That's the only problem.
Definitely not.
I feel like they've
Yes.
got that Madison role in too. Like I feel like Gio on the left, and then Kulu in that kind of hole. It's like Kulu's playing the attacking role that Madison would do, and then Gio's playing that kind of Madison role where he kind of plays from deep. That's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, because I agree, because it meant that Bentancur then could be, let's be honest, could play the Sarr and Basuma role in one.
Yeah.
So it worked.
It worked.
And that's why it was working. But Højbjerg can't do that.
See
So
that's perfect, isn't it? You got two.
Oh.
he
He
keeps getting cut
like
off.
our formation, isn't it?
God,
I don't know what's going on with my bloody
Well,
broadband.
Keep talking, man. Keep talking.
Yeah, what you saying? Perfect.
No, I was saying we've got one player playing two roles and two players playing one role.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You couldn't make it up. So City, right? So the question I wanted to ask you, right? Would the midfield be exactly the same midfield, but obviously Bentancur swapped with Basuma?
Mhm.
And who's your two defenders going to be? Central defenders. I'm assuming that everything else you're going to keep the same. Is Brian Hill still going to be on the left? But depending on what it is, would you keep it exactly the same, or would you go defensive? Ash?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be boring. I'm just going. You know what it is? It's a philosophy that he's trying to instill, no matter what. And some people call it naive, but if you look at other managers, they call it stubborn. And right now, he's trying to get his ideas across to the players, to the fans. So no matter what, we know what type of Tottenham we are. Do you know what I mean? Not one week we're playing this set off like, Wolves type of football, where we kind of have players that don't want to get forward. Even in that game, like I was listening to a journalist and they were saying all he could hear was Ange saying to Davies and Emerson, get up the pitch, pass it faster, quicker. We're not high enough. Up, come on, up the pitch. So for me, like it's bad. Like, we have our weaknesses. It is what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We have our weaknesses, but at the same time, the more our B team, because it is our B team, plays the style that he wants, the more they'll understand and hopefully be able to finish off chances that we should have finished off with Villa. So I think against City, that team stays pretty much the same, apart from what you just said. Basuma comes in for Bentancur, and that's pretty much it. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think a Højbjerg goes back in. He sat down with Dyer, so the only other thing you could do is, and I know like the biggest thing is everyone saying free hit. I don't think Michael Dawson
Michael Dawson, the
bring doors back. But yeah, I don't think like he sees it as a free hit. I feel like he's gonna look at City and want to make his mark. Like he's that type of guy. He's like, listen, I think we can have a go, and I'm gonna have a go. You watch, you wait.
Yeah,
whether we think that's the right decision or right idea, or think some people are naive, or look, for me,
it should be look, if we're looking at it realistically, I know you said it's not a free hit, but in the sense of how many injuries we have, he could do what he likes. Like not one of us is expecting us to go there, especially if Andrew's going to play exactly the same way. We're not going to go there and turn over City, are we? Can we do it? JP, let me bring you in on this.
no, man, don't be silly. What have you been smoking? What have you been smoking?
Whenever Spurs beat City, we're usually on a losing run. So,
I know.
so maybe
kind of what I will say is at the start of the season, I think from my perspective, I was kind of thinking, okay, we'll finish 8th, 7th, something like that. But really what I wanted to see throughout the whole season was him sort of embed some sort of philosophy in there, some sort of style of football, something that meant something to us, showed what we are about and how we're going to play, right? And you can't do that by just saying, oh no, we're playing City and we've got 6 injuries. Let's all change it to this, or oh, like we've got Liverpool next. And because every team like you could literally be changing that team as much as possible. Oh, let's go defensive. Let's go super defensive. Let's go ultra super defensive. We saw that for 3 years. Like 60 odd goals last year being ultra defensive with those players. He has to want to say, this is my style of football. I'm going to play this style of football. You guys need to learn this style of football. And for you guys who are not going to be here, I've got to put you in there. But the other players need to also learn where to be in those positions. So I think he's just trying to drill it into them and try and drum it into what he wants them to do, how he wants them to do it, and when he wants them to do it. It's just a case of once he gets the jigsaw pieces, ideally then you can just slot them in, right? So you can unpick someone, unpick your Davis, unpick your be it Kulu, unpick kind of Gill or whatever, like once we get someone better. And then hopefully they can just slot into those positions. But the rest of the team carries on as normal because it's been drilled into them. So I would say it's a free hit, but personally, he's going to go and go, I want to see how I can fare against these guys, right? More than likely, it will show us levels, but it will show him also and show us where we need to get to.
Yeah.
Jacob, can we pull off a miracle? We've done it before. It's not to say we haven't done it before. But
speaking of miracles, yeah.
Get the Bible out.
Can everybody grab their Bible? We've got more chance of winning that game here with the 12 disciples.
What chapter?
Do you know, before you carry on, it's quite funny because obviously the ladies lost 7-0 to City at weekend, and everyone's gone, you can save those graphics for next weekend. All you need to do is change the picture. So this is what we're all expecting. Like
I don't think it'll be that bad.
I don't think it will be that bad. I personally think we'll score.
Yeah.
I think we'll concede many because I don't care. But it's a case of I think it's going to be one of those high scoring games, and I think we might come out of it going, and City might be going, "Oh shit, we escaped one there."
I don't know, man. You know what it's giving me? Do you remember when we had AVB and I think it was like 6-7 games in, and everyone's talking about Tottenham can win the league, and then we went to the Etihad and got slapped. I think was it like 6-0 or 7-0 or something?
5-0.
Lamela, Delgado, and you're just sitting there thinking, "Wow, I don't even want to go work tomorrow." Like, I've got a feeling it's one of those because, like, for me, if Man City play the way that we expect them to play with all the tiki-taka passing, Bernardo Silva, everyone picking out in the pockets, Phil Foden and all that, then I agree with what you lot are saying. But if Pep is as clever as I think he is, all he's got to do is say to Ruben Diaz, Rodri, look, if we're not coming through the midfield and Basuma's killing it, just keep playing it over the top. Because if you do what Danny Drinkwater did with Vardy, with Haaland doing that with Emerson Royal and Ben Davies, it'd be like a chicken being looked at by a wolf. It's just
what? It's quite funny. That's not my biggest worry.
What's your biggest worry then?
Doku and Porro.
Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting about Doku.
That's a different one. That's a different nightmare.
But that's what I'm saying. So if the over top ain't working and the possession play ain't playing, they'll just keep doing. Because if you watch the game, Man City Liverpool, they just kept giving it to him. And like Trent did, even though everyone's saying he got toasted, he did better than a lot of fullbacks would do. Like with Pedro Porro, even though he's been our most improved player, sometimes he is erratic. Like you see that point where he come into midfield and he tried to do a Cruyff turn.
Yep.
Like you do that against Man City and it's 0-0. It's going to be 1-0, man. Like Bernardo Silva pinches that ball off you, he will feed and Haaland will score. Or Alvarez and all these guys. Like, I'm not looking forward to that, man. Like, honestly.
Yeah, I think Silva will be a problem because Silva's on the same side as Doku, and when Porro pushes up, that space is going to be free.
It's empty on that side, then, isn't it? It's like literally
Yeah, but don't worry, we've got Emerson Royal, man. He'll cover.
Yeah.
Or Dyer. Like, my gosh, take your pick, man.
It's funny because Aston Villa, most of their attacks came down Porro's side as well. But
everyone's starting to target Porro. And I know there's a positive stat in his favour that he's winning. Was it winning most duels or something? He's tackling most. But he's being dribbled past the most as well.
Yeah.
So people obviously seeing a weakness, and if you saw the goals, well, the first goal comes obviously is a cross, but it's a free kick from that side. It's obviously something's happened to why they're on that side in the first place.
Mm.
And the same
But
thing. And when
he's
the
more
header,
attacking. He's
Yeah.
more attacking minded, isn't he? His brain's engaged in going that way, and then I think after 2 seconds he goes, "Oh shit, I better get back," and then he's like chasing.
That fullback position is not easy, I tell you, man. But yeah, I just think the difference between us and them is they put their chances away and we don't at this current time, in this current B system.
we tend to like to put our chances away against it, you know. That's the only thing. Like whenever we've gone up against them, we do.
Sonny's
Look at last year, we were 2-0 up, and none of us, not one of us, expected to be 2-0 up, right? And especially how we were under Conte, it just kind of it threw everything out of the ordinary. And I just think when it comes to us and Pep, I don't know what we have over him.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing that I'm hoping. Like you put the Bible there, but I am praying.
But yeah, Pep's gonna have a plan, man, because he'll never admit it, but we must be one team that he hates, man.
Well, they asked him, didn't they? Like, what's out of the Premier League and stuff? What is your one thing that you still? He was like, I want to score at White Hart Lane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mate, if it was the other way around, you'd definitely get your wish.
Do you know what? He's probably wishing and hoping that this fixture was reversed.
Yeah, that's it.
Because we probably have all our players back for the one in April. But yeah, Ash.
Yes.
So obviously, we're speaking about January now, right? And obviously, you've been looking at a couple of players.
Yeah, there's a player we're linked with, and he goes by the name of Jean-Claire Tabido. Literally just linked with him. A whole host of clubs are linked with him, by the way, as well. So just put that out there quickly. But 30 million, that's his price tag. 23 years old. There's his little metrics there. Weaknesses, this is a problem here because I know Marlon wants to know. Discipline and error proneness. Ooh. Ball control is his strength, and ground jewels.
Before you carry on, pause it for a second.
Yeah.
I've also heard one of his weaknesses is he's not very good in the air.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't put that on there. Why are you missing it for, Ash? It's important.
He'll fit in nicely then.
But to be fair to Ash, Van der Ven had the same problem. He wasn't very good in the air.
How old is he, Ash?
Yeah.
23. He's played at either side of the centre-back role, left or right. He's played for these clubs, Barcelona, Benfica on loan. He plays at Nice at the moment in the 4-3-3, so he's no stranger to our system. So he slots right in. He's got 1 assist this season and 1 big chance created as well. On top of that, in terms of on-the-ball dribbling, 88% successful dribbles. Duels is really good at. That's his main feature, winning duels. So 62% he wins his duels and 60% ground duels. So 64% aerial duels won there, but in general, he's still not a strength of his. There's his heat map, as you can see, and that is his action bar, his toolbar. So this is in the 5 top leagues in Europe, and you can see his passes attempted are quite high, and a 91 percentile. His passing completions and 80%, 40%. Sorry, progressive passes at 83% as well. Successful take-ons, 93 percentile. So you can see he's very strong on the ball, and then tackles-wise, 95 percentile in tackles. So I think that's the reason why we're looking at him. We've actually got a backup for Romero that likes to tackle, other than Eric Dyer. So here is some of these actions you're seeing him on the ball. There he is doing a little bit of ball recovery. Here is in the challenge. I'll sped it up so I can fit more in, by the way. There he is trying to recover the ball again, winning the challenge. 1v1 is quite good, which is a positive. That's what you need, because the way we play the high line, they don't play the high line, but some of these clips are showing his ability just to get back. He's good in the foot race, covers a lot of ground, and he's not afraid to put a challenge in. So, yeah, good, proactive, forward thinking. And if we need cover for Romero, I think this is the reason why we're looking at players, because Romero's missed so much of actual game time that we need someone that's going to be able to cover in, especially if we do get into Europe. But again, most of these clips I'm showing you, they are of 1v1s, recovery ones when he's getting his body in between players, shielding the ball, using his shoulder, using his body strength. So he's got a lot of strength as well. And then his timing of tackles. He's going to ground, but a lot of the tackles he's doing, he's actually sticking his foot out at the right time. So he has got a bit of defensive brain on him. He likes to tackle. He's a defender that lacks the intensity, lacks the aggression, decent height as well. So that's what you need as well from a centre back. You need him to be a certain height, certain stature, certain physicality. But what I do like about him is his actual athleticism, his agility, his ability to quickly, again, as I said before, stand his ground and recover. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much him, to be fair. Pretty much him.
It reminds me a little bit of that Van der Ven, really, doesn't he? In some of his recoveries.
In terms of like the pace and getting back and recovering, that's what. But it's just going to be on the right hand side. He has played on the left before. He has played on the left hand side as well. But in terms of the right, he's, as I said before, 95 percentile in terms of tackling. That's his strength. Like he's good at winning balls back. So he's got a bit of pace of a Van der Ven, but a bit of a tackle of Romero.
Romero as well, yeah.
So, and he's 23. So again, kind of hits the age quota. But Man United are looking at him seriously. And I think
that Liverpool or something.
Liverpool, yeah, that was it. Man U and Liverpool, that was it. Yeah, Man U and Liverpool looking at him.
But then they must be talking a nice chunk of dough as well, right?
Yeah, 30 million is what's quoted. I did see in some of the journalists were saying about 40 million as well. So there's a toss up between 30 and 40 million, but transfer market says 30 million for him.
Yeah. Jacob. Go on, JP. Go on.
No, I was going to say, if they have gone and researched, and if they have gone and found people like him, like, can I go? We need to be under this stop peeing about phase and just go and get a deal done, right? Go and start negotiations now. Everyone does it. I understand when the window opens, but everyone does it. So let's just get the job done. Plus, it allows the other club and like the other team a good chunk of time to go and get replacements or think about replacements, as opposed to what we're normally used to doing, leaving it to the last frigging minute.
Yeah, but Daniel Levy's the sort of person that everybody in the club will think, yep, this is the right guy. And then we'll wake up in the morning, Daniel Levy's decided, yeah, you know what? I think it's best we get Connor Cody. That's what he'll do. He'll just be like, oh, Connor Cody's on 6 months left. And then, like, the maddest thing is that there'll be Tottenham fans that will rate it as well because they love Daniel Levy somehow.
We are linked to another centre-back as well.
They buy it, man. They buy it. Yeah, go on.
This guy is, let's really go through real quickly. Sebastian Kakarikes, and he plays for a South American club. Look at the price tag, 3.5. I don't think it'll be that cheap, but yeah, if it was, definitely up Levy Street. 24 years old, again, quite tall, can play either side, left or right centre back, as you can see by the heat map right there. Let's go from some of his stats. Long balls, he's not bad at, but he normally does. He's more on the dribbler side of things. So a lot of these players we're looking at, they're quite good at bringing the ball out from the back. Here he is blocking balls, intercepting, winning the ball back, recovering. Again, it's a lot of recoveries. So we're looking at someone that's quite aggressive, wants to win the ball back, front-footed. But yeah, at the same time, if we lose the ball, they're able to kind of cover any ground that's lost, and that's important to the actual high line. Here he is scoring a goal with his head, so that's a bit of a difference. This guy's slightly better in the air, but obviously he's not proven in Europe, so I think that's the difference between the two. But again, South America is no joke. It's a physical league. It's a strong league. Guy's Uruguayan, so he will be a teammate for Bentancur as well, so he should be able to bed in quite easily, and also speak Spanish. So half of our squad, I feel like, speak Spanish. But yeah, him, physicality again, as I said before, he actually plays for Uruguay, gets in their first team, and he's able to, again, just slide tackle. That's what you like, an old-fashioned defender, get into the actual byline and just putting his body in the way, and he's not afraid to. Again, attributes will be discipline, similar to Romero. Sometimes can pick up a yellow card here and there. But if it's a rotational player and someone that comes in after Romero has been suspended, then this guy doesn't look too bad. 24 years old, so a year older than the other guy. But again, like fast, he's very fast, aggressive, likes to tackle. So it's like they're profiling these type of centre backs, if that makes sense. So yeah.
And that makes sense too, in a way, based on the fact that the style of football and the formation that we want to play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because we need
it
pace.
makes sense to everybody, but it doesn't to our hierarchy. I don't know how signings have made sense, and it just gets to the point where like we'll just go and find someone that plays for Barnsley, and because he's Uruguayan but he's half the price, we'll just go and get him instead because he fits the profile somehow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Because
squeezed into the profile.
That's cheaper. We might go for him. I don't know, but we have been linked with him for like a little while now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do kind of go for that option.
Because there's also that. Is it Lloyd Kelly or something? Lloyd Kelly, you know?
Yeah, from Bournemouth. Yeah.
Yeah,
because the homegrown quota is a big massive issue for us at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lloyd Kelly does come in, just because of that and no other reason.
Would you guys be happy if we got two centre backs in, like a Lloyd Kelly and like one of these guys in, or would you want something better than like a Lloyd? Do you think Lloyd Kelly's at the level that we need, or do you
we'll
think
never get the players that we need? Like, it depends. It just all depends what, because we as Tottenham fans want to win. We've been starved of it. But then if Daniel Levy doesn't want what we want, you're going to get a Lloyd Kelly. I always refer to it as like this. You know, we all play Football Manager. It's like if I turn on Football Manager right now and it says Daniel Levy is happy for you to win the Europa League. No, I mean to qualify for the Europa League. I don't want that. I'm looking at it thinking, well, I'm going to try and buy him, qualify for the Champions League. And then if I get in the Champions League, I'm going to get that player. I'm going to try and win everything. But with Daniel Levy, he won't do that. It's just one of them ones. He's like, Champions League was important because we were moving from White Hart Lane to our new stadium. Now the stadium is built and we've got F1 and people climbing up the stadium. Yeah, as long as we stay in the Premier League, he's not bothered.
Yeah,
it's going to get worse, trust me.
There's one more player to look at, and that's going to get through as quickly as possible. I won't even play the whole clip because Marlon's about to fall asleep. So Marlon. Boring him to death for these transfer rumors. But yeah, just real quick. The last player I'm going to speak about is a winger, and he goes by the name of Johan Bakayoko. 25 million transfer market says from PSV. He's 20 years old, Belgium. Come from an academy. No, he hasn't come from an academy. He actually played in the Belgium league. Played for a couple of teams there. He scored at his last game against, I think it's FC20 it was, but he plays in a similar system, 4-2-3-1. Plays on the right-hand side. I know we need a left winger, but he is left-footed, and I know we did play Brian Hill on the left, him on the right. As you can see in the green bars, real quickly, progressive carries, 99% out. It's crazy. I know it's the Dutch league, but just in terms of profile and what we're looking for, successful take-ons, 98% out, progressive passing. It's all green. The only thing's not green is probably interceptions, clearances, and aerial duels. Apart from that, it's pretty much high sailing. But yeah, this guy, comparing to Brian Hill or Johnson, he's able to whip crosses in like that. He's got a bit more end product, in my opinion, from what I can see. Actually looks like Doku. I'm not saying this guy's Doku, but I'm just saying he's from Belgium. He's short, stocky, and he's quick. But he's actually quick at carrying the ball, dribbling the ball, is able to beat players, able to link as well, and do it with speed as well. And then also, I like the fact that he can take it to the byline, and then he knows what to do with it. He's not going to just pass it or cross it into a player. He's actually quite successful in taking the man on and then getting a cross off. And it's not just like your normal crosses. He does do the cutbacks too, but some of these clips are showing him shooting as well. I think from a winger spot point of view, I think we need a player that can go down a wing, cut in, and shoot at times as well, because our wingers aren't doing that as often. Even I put Kulu in that in bracket as well. We need to get a lot of players that can come off the pitch, have different profiles, different abilities. And I actually looked at him compared to Elise, Matoma, some of the Premier League players. And in terms of like shots on target, he's about third or fourth out of that, the top players like Netos, etc. But in terms of like ball carries and dribbling, like successful take-ons, he's right up there. He's like either first or second, even like carries, progressive carries in the final third. So a lot of these clips you're seeing are in the Dutch league. So I do hear what people are saying, it's not the Prem, but we're trying to do a Brighton style. So we got to look at the characteristics of a player. The kid is young, he's 20. And I know a whole host of clubs will come and look at him because the guy's got a lot of potential. So I don't think it will cost too much to get over the line. Whether we get him, who knows? But this is a player I think we should go for. I think he's got the profile, he's got the attributes, physicality as well. He's actually good at winning the ball out the pitch. So that's another key that we need to look at. Someone that's quite physical, doesn't get pushed off the ball too easily. People being complaining about Brian Hill, but yeah, this guy looks good. Different skill sets as well. Controls the inside of his foot, outside of his foot, can protect it, can dribble inside. Sometimes he dribbles through the middle. Sometimes he hugs out wide. And maybe his coach has just told him to stay out wide on the right-hand side because that's the new tactic. Lots of coaches want to teach their wingers to start out on the right-hand side, come inside, and then shoot on a stronger foot. So, but yeah, that's this guy, man. I won't even finish that clip there. That's it, man.
He reminds me, to be fair, it reminds me like a beefed up Bergwijn.
Beefed up Bergwijn.
Big bad Bergwijn.
How do you think he would have fared in this team?
I was going to say, I think he would have been quite impressive.
Yeah, he'd have been wicked. I love Bergwijn's better than Solomon. I don't care what no one says.
For real, he would have been shooting. That's one thing. He definitely would have been shooting.
Definitely.
I think he would have fitted that really well. Like if we still had him.
That's a good point. But same club as well, right? From PSV, so it makes sense. So
I suppose though, I suppose for us, when you look at the clientele we should be going after, you got to look at the countries where they are playing attacking football. It's total football, as they say. Mm-hmm. Holland's one of them. You don't go to Italy to go buy an attacking kind of player. You go there to buy defenders kind of scenario. And the French league is where you go buy your wingers. It's kind of the scenario, isn't it? And then you just kind of get your wish shape. But yeah, I think you know what, I do actually kind of agree with this. You need to be scoring at least 30 goals a season in leagues like that to kind of impress. But you do get hidden gems in those leagues, so you don't know. You just don't know. But it's Spurs, isn't it? So we'd sign a 40-goal-a-year man, and he'll come to Spurs and he'll stop scoring.
It's true. It's that conundrum. Like, what do you do? Like, I mean, do you go for because everyone's talking about the Jimenez, he's doing that kind of trajectory where he's going to maybe hit 30 goals for the season. But yeah, like you said, if he comes to Spurs, will he do the same thing? How much time does he have? How much time will we give him as fans? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
and fully be behind the club and behind the manager and not kind of throw our toys at the pram if some of these players don't work. But Ange will prove these players before they come in the door. I think that's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've always got the wrong players for the wrong man. Sorry, the wrong players for a different manager kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like by the time we get players in, and it takes some players a little while to kind of embed and understand it's a fresh league, faster league, stuff like that. By the time they get 2 seconds to even put a blanket over their legs, it's like the manager's gone. And then there's another manager comes in with a totally different style.
It's true.
Like how many wing backs have we got? And now we've got wing backs and when we don't want them. It's like,
yeah.
But like we definitely need to do something in January because we do have. I also feel like Marlon was saying earlier that we do. I feel yet again we're on the cusp of something with this manager, and potentially if he is given the right backing, which we all know that's the be and end all kind of of it all, right? Because that's where it comes from. That's where the success comes from. That's where it's projected from. If he says, as sorry, I've got mind blank now. Jacob was saying, like, if he says, "I'm just qualify me for the Conference League," That's kind of where the levels are coming from, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's like, your ship captain, your CEO, your whatever. Like they drive the company, they drive the philosophy, they drive exactly what they want as the end result, as those end goals. And if it's that, I just get us, you're here to get us fourth because that's Champions League money. There's no drive there, is there really? You just go, well, all right, I'll be able to do that. Then I'm not going to ask for the players I want. Just give me who you want, and I'll try and work it out for you.
It'll be
Yeah.
telling, like you guys said before, come early January and no one's been brought in because Andrew's already come out and he's kind of put that pressure on. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the first 2 weeks to see like if fans clock onto it or if there's murmurs. But yeah,
It's difficult for the Spurs fans though, because I look at it like it's like, what's the point of you being with a woman that you want to marry when she wants to slag it out? There's no point, is it? If she wants to slag it out, why are you trying to marry her? It's that you're on a completely different trajectory. It's the same with Tottenham. It's like there's no point in me saying I want to win cups, I want to bring this player in, when I know Daniel Levy don't want to do that. So I just got to accept that Tottenham, if we're a big club, we're not elite. So it gets to the point where when you're seeing all these rumours about, your Diabalas and all these guys, I'd rather go and eat Weetabix.
That's why, like, our channel and a few others, Brian and stuff like that, go and moan and go and.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get what you're saying. They go and moan because they're trying to put pressure, like, on the club. If that makes sense.
How crap is my broadband's absolutely crap today. Sorry, boys, but it's like literally you have to get to a point of going, what is the point?
Yeah.
Like, if he's not going to have the same need as me or the same want as me, I want to win a cup. I want to be happy with my team winning a cup, seeing them lift a trophy, walking down Tottenham High Road, like with the masses all being happy the fact that we've just won something, not finishing fourth.
Yeah.
But when's everyone going to get to that level?
Exactly.
It will just be, yeah, we tried for him, but we couldn't get him. January's not a good time to get players. You know all the drab excuses. We've had them already.
Yeah.
I mean, majority buy it.
It's a hard one. I'm going to ask this question in a second, but it's you can see the narrative already because I said it before. We need to get players out before we get players in. That's the narrative already. So already, I feel like we're down. We've got one arm tied behind our back because our team's so depleted. I can't really see anyone leaving the club because we need every player that we need.
So, are you gonna get out next to stretcher man?
Yeah.
There's no one left to get out.
We'll clearly end up like loaning Harry Winks from Leicester. You know what I mean? That's what will end up happening, man. He's on 4 minutes, so we might as well go and get him now.
He's ripping it up.
Exactly.
I just to Ugly Fish's question, I would prefer, like, what's mad in that game? What I said was, we're clearly missing a number 9. I shouldn't have said that. That's what I thought when I was watching the game when we weren't putting those chances putting those chances away, and we my man kept getting offside. We kept getting offside. I was like, it's like we're missing a number 9. But actually, like I said before, when I saw Brian Hill in those positions and he wasn't doing the right things, and I'm like, bro, if you just cut back or if he crossed it a little bit different, then my man's arriving in that space. We're scoring those goals. So,
but that's the thing also, right? Son's not that player with a back to his goal. With his back to the goal, he's not that type of player. He either runs onto it or he's there for those cutbacks. And out of all the analysis we saw before Postecoglou came, was the fact that the way he plays and the system he plays, that it goes down those wings, goes out wide, and then they cut it back to someone, be it on a penalty spot or just outside, to be able to then smash it home.
Yeah,
we don't seem to be doing that.
So we scored a goal like that. I think it was against
Madison was here. Yeah.
Bournemouth, when the doggy cut it back to Kulusevski. Kulusevski scores, and as you said, Madison done it against Luton. We did a cutback from the corner when Mickey van de Ven scored. I think we scored against that. I think it was Man United. We did
but not
Arsenal. Arsenal did it when we did the cutback again. So that has been like our staple where we actually do the cutback. But it's like I said before in the tactics board, Brian Hill didn't get the memo. Like you're meant to get
He's
to the byline.
it's his first game. All right.
It is no, I'm being
Yeah,
harsh.
it's his
I'm
first-
being
it's-
harsh.
it's-
You're right.
It is his first
And I
game
can
back
see that.
and stuff like that.
He does need games. He does need games to be fair, because it was his first game. And maybe like when the pressure's on in front of your home fans, you kind of forget like what you've been doing in training, and that's the reason why. Because he did have a lot of energy, did get in the right spaces. It was just that
He had a lot of the ball, didn't he? He got a lot of the ball.
I think that was down to Gio, me personally. I
Mm.
think Gio was doing a good balls to him, and that's all it was. He just wasn't getting that last pass right, that final cross. Apart from the one where Son, like 1 inch taller, Son's going to be heading that into the back. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I just need someone clinical. Either or. I want a top winger that can bang goals, that can provide goals, that's a playmaker, or I want a top finisher and a striker. Either or. Do you know what I'm saying? Just give me that quality in at least one position.
On that note, we'll leave it there. Yeah. JP, when's Tottenham away next on? Or when you next on Tottenham away? Forget the rest. We don't care about the rest.
No. Well, like tomorrow there'll be a North London show. Today, I think like there was a 150th show that we've done now, so we hit 150 shows. So I think all the old guys were back. So that was on earlier today. I kind of like, obviously I'm on every Mondays, but tend to try and do some videos when there's stuff happening. But splitting that and everything, we do have something virtually every day, so go check it out.
Thanks for coming on, JP.
That's all right, man. It's a pleasure.
Jacob, one up top. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so every midweek, especially when Tottenham are doing bad, which is normal, I do a skit called Only Fools in Tottenham. So there's always something foolish happening in and around N17. So I'll do a skit on that, and then I normally do a before, middle, and after on the weekend's actions. So yeah, just whenever you can, whenever I get the time as well, just add me up, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
Ash, when you next on?
Yeah, so tomorrow Rivals doing a rival show. Yeah, literally brace yourself. I mean, tune if you want to, because it's gonna get mucky. It's gonna be guys chucking it. So it is what it is, man. I'm ready for the war. I'm ready for the violence. I'm here for the smoke. It's gonna be hella memes. That's what I'm saying. Hella memes, man. Because I ain't done. I ain't going without a fight. To be fair, I'm proud of how we played. So there's no shame for me. I'm not hiding. But I know it's gonna be a rough one.
Yeah, it's going to be a complete rough one because we've gone from title race to just about making Champions League if we're lucky.
Do you know what though, Marlon? Quick question. Like, I know we've lost 3 on the bounce now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we'd lost the first game, the third game, and the 10th game, would it feel as bad?
Yeah.
I think the injuries I think it's because of the injuries. I think
it's all come at once, isn't it? It literally has all come at once, which is suddenly make it right now feel, oh God, this is like the worst.
I think and that's the thing, because I think we had such a great period at the beginning. You know, probably could have lost to Luton if we're being realistic, and Liverpool were quite lucky. But apart from that, we've been all right, to be fair. But the fact that since Chelsea, we've had injury, suspension, we just had everything. And what do you think before that Chelsea game? The only thing we were all worried about was Basuma getting suspended.
Yes, fact.
And who knew that?
That was the worst 45 minutes you could ever want. That Chelsea first 45 minutes.
But at the same time, we get to see Lo Celso, and I'm not saying like, oh my goodness, he's come back. No, he's going to be great from now on. But we've who knows what the future holds for him from now. He could turn out and he could play ball for us. He might do some bits for us.
If he was Ange, after watching him the other day, you'd go, I've got to find a place for him, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
because if Madison was fit, he wouldn't be getting.
He benefits the way I want to play football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did in pre-season as well. So it's quite weird to how that's all played out as well. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Man City is going to be a big game for most of them. It's going to be make or break, I think, for a lot of them to see if they're going to be here beyond January, or even if they're going to be anxious plans at all. But we will see. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you to Ugly Fish for the super chat right at the end. That's why I've left you up on the screen. But also, before we go, I just wanted to obviously pay respects to this man here as well. Big L Tell. I think all of us are old enough to remember 91 Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think all of us are old enough to remember Euro 96.
Yep.
Definitely, yeah.
Which,
yesterday.
yeah, so two different. I think he brought a unity to the country in Euro 96 where everyone was supporting the team. I think a lot of people don't realise that. But 91 will always stand up for all of us Spurs fans. That semi-final against Arsenal. And then Brian Clough as well. So I didn't actually get to pay my respects on Sunday when after the game because I completely forgot. And if it could come up all at once. But Eltel, rest in peace, my brother, because you've done so much for us. But you're the only reason why we can talk about an FA Cup still. So, thank you, Eltel. And, thanks for being, bringing us that FA Cup in 91. But as always, thank you to everyone in the chat. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe to Jacob. Make sure you definitely hit Tottenham Away for JP as well and the other guys on there. And tune in for Ashmatic tomorrow. But as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Let's go.
I loved it, guys. Thank you.